Hello, hey everybody, welcome to today, day 4 of MLH March challenges. Super excited to be here, have all of you here. Let's get the fun started in a couple of minutes. Hey, Karan, Randir, the chosen one, and Dirk. Super excited to be here. Just to make sure, I hope all of you have checked in on the MLH challenges page and this particular events page. Hey, everybody. Let's get some hype in the comments channel for today's session of building your side hustle store. Okay. Let me put out a couple of. Give us a story first. Okay, Karan. Your story is that, hey, everybody. We will talk about our stories in a minute. Okay, so I have a question for all of you first. Imagine that all of you were not developers. If you all are developers who've joined us here today, what is it that you would earn money from? Like, what would be your source of income if not developing? Not like engineers get paid a lot these days. But yeah, if you were not getting paid as a developer, what would you be doing with, what would you be doing right now? Like, yes, but what would your side hustle be? Like, how would you earn money? But okay, Ananya, freelancing, you say. What sort of freelancing would you do? Oh, wonderful. So you could make a side hustle store where you sell your graphic designs. Like that could be your project for today. Um, hey, when you say business, what business do you mean? Hello. Developing UI. But well, I'm saying, what if you were not a developer? You did not. Oh, Prasan. Prasan says content writing. So again, content writing is also something you can sell on your side hustle store. You could say, okay, I will write essays for you, and you could put like a price to it. Also, we have Karan, who's a professional eating contest winner. Karan, please send us links to all these eating contests so that we can also just live our life eating food and earning money. Oh, this is super interesting. Make custom animations. Hi. So yes, you could make a t-shirt store and you could make custom t-shirts for everybody. Oh wow, we have a lot of interesting stuff coming in here. So obviously, I know that this day is going to be super amazing and I can't wait to see what all of you develop. One disclaimer, I'm not sure if I can complete a whole store in like 1.5 hours. And so I made a tweet yesterday where I said I will not be using Shopify or WooCommerce or Squarespace. And I said, let's do it from scratch. So that is what I'm going to attempt today with all of you. And if you all prefer like any of these other platforms, you can start there as well. But what I'm going to do on live stream today, and I hope all of you join me there, is that I'll try to build this hustle store from scratch. So obviously all of it are not like the best practices, or it might not be like super secure, but that is that is what we're going to get started with. Karan has like precisely given words to all of my feelings. I just can't, as a developer, make an e-commerce website on Squarespace. Just can't do it. So on which platform will I build it? I will attempt to do it on React. And since I don't think we have the time to set up a proper backend, I would go ahead and start Firebase and Firestore basically. But I would highly encourage all of you to maybe try Django or Node as the backend for this project here. Okay, but before we dive into that, we still have a couple of important things for all of you to do, which is that you first need to check in on hackpack/March challenges. I know many of you are not first comers here. You've already attended our March challenges. But if you have not, this is the link to go to the March challenges and make sure that you register and check in here. All of you are super amazing for already doing it. Also, a bit of a background for like what March challenges are. So last month we did the local hack day, and we had a lot of MLHers code alongside with all of you folks, and it was so much fun that we decided to run these challenges on we decided to run these challenges on a more regular basis and do these every day with all of you. So we've come forward with more challenges. We're just trying to see if you folks enjoy it or not. So make sure to check in on this link. I will also be doing it alongside you. Make sure that you have your MyMLH account. If you don't, you can quickly create one. Okay, let us get started. I will. It's all right, Ananya, if you don't know how to develop in React, I'll go super slow and make sure that all of you are following while I'm developing, which is why I said that we might not be able to finish the whole product, but we will try to get somewhere so that you can keep on developing on it. All right, so I'll share my screen so that we can all check in if we haven't already. So, yeah, just a second. Stream. All right, so I'm using a profile which is incomplete, so let's just walk through that. All righty. So once all of you have checked in, once you all have logged in, you can register and check in for the March challenges. All right, once you have done that successfully, it is then time for us to check in for this particular challenge that we'll be doing. So this is the link. I can share it in the chat with all of you. I've also yes, so I will also share the link. I also shared this in Discord with all of you. But there we go. Also, Ananya is asking if we have the previous videos of the March challenges here on Twitch. Yes, Ananya, we do. We have the recordings on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. So you can see the challenges of the past 3 days. And we also have a lot of other exciting stuff which we have recorded and is available for all of you to see. So now we can check in on this second challenge link that I have here. All right, so just make sure to click on register and check in, and you are good to go. So I'm hoping that all of you have completed all these steps so that we can get started with coding. So just want to get a good idea of how many of you actually have some experience with UI designing or graphic designing of some sort. Any, you can all just like drop a text on the comments. Shrikaran, it's not an identity theft. Utkarsh is one of my friends, and since I had already checked in using my account and I wanted to show all of you how to do it, I borrowed his credentials and he doesn't mind. So no identity theft going on around here. All right, so wow, we have somebody with 6 years of experience and a lot of people with experience. So this is how we're going to get started. Let me share my screen again and I will tell all of you what I mean. So up here, I want, oh, sorry. Okay, so you can still not show me. So this is the first time I'm actually like doing a live stream where I'm coding on screen and using StreamYard. So obviously like I'm little full of nerves because of that. But apart from that, okay, let's get started. So for today, I want all of you to like go on Figma. I from Ananya's comment, I already see that you don't really like Figma that much. But I feel before we start developing anything on web or mobile, it is super, super important for us to have like a nice idea of, what to build. So I want all of you to just open Figma, which would be www.figma.com. Oh my God, this is wwws. And you can just open Figma and create a new workspace. And I want all of you to like take 5-10 minutes and build what your store might look like. I gave it like a very cringy name, so I'm going to switch that up. How many of you have already worked on Figma before? Oh, that is amazing, that you learned Figma during Hackthrob. I was also there on Hackthrob, and it was super fun to see all of you. Thanks for saving my face, Karan. But I hope it will all go fine. All right. So, okay, what you all should do, and what I'll also start doing, is that let's start thinking about what our product would look like. So, for anybody who hasn't used Figma before, I'll just quickly show you how to spin this up. So, here you have something called a frame tool. And from here, you can decide what sort of frame you want. And since we're developing for web right now, I'll just take like a MacBook and click here, and it creates this screen for me, which is the size of a MacBook here for you. And then what you can do is maybe you can take a rectangle and you can build like a nice sweet rectangle here. You can change the color that it has, and maybe you can give it a stroke. These effects basically help you put in like shadows and layer blurs and things like that on here. One more thing that's often quite useful for making buttons and all is that suppose you make it smaller, and you can just change the rounded corners from here. And so basically this gives you a good idea of a rounded button. All right, and so since I had this layer blur effect on it, I can just change that to drop shadow, and now I get more of this like popped out button effect. Similarly, a couple of other things that you can do is you can like put some text, which can be submit, and then you change things over here. Let's just go with simple fonts. Let's put it inside of it and reduce it to 24. All right, so now I want to like center this whole thing, so I can control and like click both of these together, and I can center it in this way. So once I have all of this centered, I kind of have a button here with me. What else can we do? Let me see. You can basically create your own shapes as well if you have like a good sense of basically design, which I don't really do, but I'm attempting to do this because I know it's a good practice to first have your designs ready. If you don't want to make detailed designs, that is perfectly fine as well. What you can go ahead and do instead is that you can just make these placeholder boxes. So you can say, suppose you can create this rectangle here, and you can call it nav bar. So you just know that when you're building your web app, you are going to put a nav bar here. Just gives you a good sense of what you're going to build before you actually start putting components there and start building your whole app. I would love if some of you would like to share your Figma links with us here in the chat, so we can just open and see what everybody else is designing. Does anybody have any questions on Figma that I can clear out before we start designing our store today? Ananya, okay, let's design something here, and why not? I will share that link with all of you. All right. Okay, before that, would anybody like to come up here on stream with me and help me design the store? I would be more than happy to invite any of you to come up here and code away with me. It's basically not coding, it's designing, but yeah. Okay, Karan, let's bring you up. Let's see. I will send you the link on. All right. Wonderful. There you go. Hope you join us soon and help me design this whole thing out with everybody else. Okay. In the meantime, let's get some basics here. What we would like is a login, and let's say we would want a cart right here. So what I can do is just copy paste this and make this a cart. What we could also have done is put an icon of a cart here, and I also did put a plugin here for to help me do that, but that plugin isn't really working, so sad luck. Yeah, this doesn't really work. So what can we do? We can have like a square or rectangle thing, which will be the place for you to put up your product, and we can replace it with a picture of a product that we can get from the internet later. So okay, what am I building? Let's say I'm building a store where you can order stickers and you can basically customize it, very similar to the custom anime t-shirt idea that somebody else had. So let's just build that. So we take a placeholder here, we call it, let's say, what should we call it? Sticker A. Let's say, girl bar sticker. And that can be the title that it has. Do not like this font. I don't like to use it now, but yes. Okay, let's use Inter instead. So what else can we put right below the product name? Karan, I've sent you the link on Discord, I'm assuming. Okay, I'm putting the link here on. No, I'm not going to put the link here. I don't really trust everybody here. Do not bombard the stream. Okay, yeah, we can put the price. You're right. Let's put the price here. Let's say it is. I still don't know how to put the rupee sign in here. Let's say it's for 50 rupees. Okay, let's get the rupee sign from. Let's copy paste this. Yes. So there we have our price. We can put it up here. Then we can change the fill that it has. Let's put it like a darker color and reduce the font size. Okay, so we have sort of a product tile over here. What we might want is also like a small button right here which says add to cart. So put this in here, and since I'm using this color, so let's just stick with this color for most of our buttons and primary stuff. Yay, we have this. Let's make it smaller, and we have Karan in the back room with us. Let's bring Karan up and continue with this. So, hey Karan, how are you doing today?
Not too bad, not too bad. What about you?
I'm doing good too. So,
Sweet.
do you want to assist me in designing the store up here today?
Yeah, why don't you send me a Figma link on the StreamYard chat?
Sure, let's do that. Let's bring all of you up to my Figma. Okay, so we have it there with you. Yes.
Now, this might have been a bad idea. Putting the Figma link on chat.
That's what I told you. But all of you can just view it right now and you can't really edit it.
Ah,
So,
okay, cool, cool.
yes.
We already have a bunch of people here. Yeah.
Perfect. Glad to see all of you invested in this design, which is not, I'm not like a designing expert, but yeah, here we are. So, why don't we get some suggestions in the chat, or Karan, what suggestions do you have for this
We're
so
going to
far?
need multiple pages for sure. One per card. Uh,
Yes, one from start.
and if you're doing something extremely minimalist, we could potentially make do with just 2 pages. That should
Would
work.
definitely love to do that. Like make something extremely simple and
Hmm.
minimalistic so that your users don't have to click through like a million pages to
Yeah.
get what they want to be.
And then
So,
let's have a bunch of ad positions on the page so that they're bound with ads when they come.
what positions there? Can you go again?
Ads. No, no, it was a joke. Never mind.
Oh my god, okay. All
All
right.
right.
Folks,
Uh,
instead of paying so much attention to my Figma design, why don't you all start making your Figma as well? Oh, hey, Bhavan. Nice to see you here. Yeah, Shikhar.
yeah. So could you give me edit access to this specifically? Is it?
That's going to be a tricky one right here. But I will give you edit access. There you go.
Yeah, sweet. Hmm, let's. I'm just going to duplicate some stuff for now.
Yes, do that. And meanwhile, I will get some stickers from the internet. Let's.
Oh, and I just want to preface this by saying I am by no means a Figma pro. The only thing I've designed on Figma is my Twitter header.
That is good to begin with. All right. So let me import and place an image here. All you can do is like you can click on place image. Where did I download? Desktop, downloading it here, and I just click it and it places it. And I love this about it. We can also kind of move how it's placed inside this container. So let's do that a little bit. All right. What went wrong? Okay. Yes. Let's do cropped version. We're choosing the image. Wow, that is strange. Oh, Karan, you're copy pasting on top of my wow. Which
Yeah,
is why
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, what is happening to this? Okay, let me make it easier for you first, so that you don't have to do all of this. Um, let's just
Ah, so
group
you
it.
can drag to select. Nice.
Yes, and you can do Control G to group it all together, and then let's just copy paste it. So select two of these,
The more you
and
learn. Damn, you're a pro at this.
well, I do this in every hackathon I attend, so would assume some sort of yes. Perfect. Okay, let's.
Yeah.
These should be good to go. Actually, let's keep these 4 rows and kind of center this a bit.
Good
Yeah.
thing we don't have to do this with CSS.
We have to do this with CSS. We're just getting started.
We can.
I hope all of
I
you
believe
are.
you can just copy paste the CSS from Figma.
You can do it, but a lot of stuff basically you still have to do it.
Okay.
You still have to put like a proper layout and all of those things.
Hmm.
And I don't have the plugin which directly converts your designs from HTML to CSS. Sorry, from Figma designs to HTML. Do not have that paid plugin with me. Should probably get it. All right. So what we can do is that when somebody clicks on cart, since we want to make it like very simple, we can just have like a pop-up thing on the Not like a pop-up thing, but something of that sort, basically. Um, where it's like a drawer thing.
Do I create another page to make the checkout? Um,
I created that already actually for you.
Wait, what?
So, so see, this is sort of something that we can have when somebody clicks on the,
Ah, an overlay. Okay,
yeah, like an overlay or drawer,
cool.
anything of that sort. So actually, this would come up more as a drawer. So what would happen is your this part would sort of not be there anymore.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah, right. And oh, everything kind of shifts a little bit, and this covers the whole thing.
Got it.
That
Yeah.
is the idea. Yes. So
I'm gonna move this so I can copy the cart and
yeah,
log in.
you won't have to copy the card. Just I think we can leave those two as is there.
Hmm. Yeah.
I
Sure.
don't think the conversation. It's all right if you are a beginner. You do not need to be a pro at this. We just need something to give us an idea of what we want to design. So just some placeholder stuff is good to get us started. We obviously
Yeah.
won't be able to replicate this anyway.
Yeah. Look at me. I'm coming on stream and making a fool of myself. So if I
So
can, you can too.
you are not, and you're doing great so far. I mean, you're definitely doing better than me. So let's edit this stuff. Okay, the cookie font is not going to work here.
Okay, we're gonna need a bunch of rows, I guess. So
Yes.
some rectangle should do.
So let's take it here. And let's make like a table thing. Yeah, we could actually do this and we could give it alternate colors.
Yeah.
And when somebody clicks on add to cart, actually we can edit that part of it as well. We could first of all uncrypt this whole thing, then add to cart. Oh my god, how many copies do we have of this one add to cart? Okay.
I think I may have been partially responsible for some of those copies.
Oh my god, I guess there was something that went wrong there. But it's okay. We can create this basically sort of text thing where you can increase the quantity of whatever you're getting. So we have that here. Let's say the first thing is one. Let's take the basic. These two, centering it, putting it here, and like a plus. Oh, what color is this plus in? Okay.
All right. If anybody has some suggestions in chat as to what I should be doing, please let me know. I
Please
genuinely
put
don't know
it
what
in
I'm
the
doing
chat
here.
and help Karan out. All right.
I'm, I'm literally
So
just sitting here recoloring some bars.
that looks perfect. You can just make it white and gray also if you want to, or like a lighter shade of pink, since that's the sort of theme
Yeah,
that
that makes sense.
the store has. Yes.
I think Fawn's trying to edit here.
Yeah. Okay. So we put a plus. Also in here, no, we want to just make it like this. Yes. And we put. So I know I want to create the box like this, but I'm pretty sure we will end up using the basically the ones where the by default HTML ones, the input
Mm-hmm.
number fields. I'm pretty sure
Mm-hmm.
we'll end up using those. But one a developer can always dream what their designs would look like. And that's what we're doing here. We're dreaming.
Imagine we do all of this in Figma and then create a potato site just using HTML at the end.
Definitely. Pawan, do you want to make this Figma a little better and do you want edit access to our Figma document? All right. So I think we're starting to get. Okay. Pawan wants access to the Figma documents. So here you go, Pawan. Disclaimer, Pawan is a fellow at the MLH Fellowship and he's in my board, which is why I know he's excellent at designing. And I feel kind of nervous doing this in his presence. So let's take it there.
Oh, so
All
you can do
right.
gradients as well.
Yes, you can do gradients as well. You can put patterns. You can put in images in the fill. There's a lot that you can do. All right. So while you folks are designing your store, I think since we have like a brief idea of what it might look like, it is time to start coding it up. So let's get started with that. Thank you so much for joining this stream, Karan, and see
Yep.
you later.
See
Bye
ya.
bye. Okay. So now that we have like a basic, very, very basic idea of what we're going to build, let's start up like a React app and get started with our code. Now, previously I thought I would go ahead and use Chakra for today's project, but I'm too inclined towards and design, and that's I think what we're going to stick with. So for anybody who's not worked with design before, do not worry. It is super easy to work with because it has a lot of components already made and you just need to make a few changes to make it work. Okay, so now I'm going to be sharing my code screen and let's get this started. All right, should create a new screen and get started with Visual Studio Code for today. So as you can see, I've already initialized a React app right here. If you don't know how to do that, let's start again from the beginning. For anybody who wants to start doing this, just make sure that you have Node already installed on your system. To make sure that you have Node, you can just type Node version and make sure that you have some version of Node installed on your system. Preferably anything above 8 or 11 should be good. So make sure that you have it installed. Once you know that you've installed Node in here, you can do npx create React app and basically the name of your app, which would be say store here, and I enter and it basically starts creating this boilerplate of a React app for me. So since I already created one over here, I'm not going to go ahead and make it again. I can go to the storefront, and here if I actually want to see if this is working, oh my god, I'm so sorry, I'm not sharing my screen, that's so stupid. Yes, all right. So you can type node version to make sure that you have installed your, let me also remove these banners out of the way now. I'm hoping that everybody has checked in today. So, okay, we want to check that we have Node installed. When you type Node version, you can see that you have Node. And then you do npx create React app and the name of your application. And it starts building this boilerplate code for you. Since I already had that, I'm not running the command again. This is my storefront boilerplate application. I have not made any changes to it. This is how it comes out of the package. And you can get into the storefront directory and you can try to run it. So you do yarn start or you can do npm start based on whatever package managers that you have. So if you've just installed Node, the chances are that you will not have yarn installed in your system. So you can definitely go ahead and do, let me show you. You can do an npm start as well. All right, so this, as you cannot really see my whole screen since Mozilla won't really allow me to do that. How can I fix that situation? All right, let me see if I can fix it. Stop screen and share the whole thing again. All right, yes, I was able to do that. So now you all should be able to see, yes, my Visual Studio Code screen and our React app, which would be this. So this is what comes out of the box. If you do yarn start, this is what you would get. Now we want to make changes here. We want to add a lot of packages to make our work better. So now we know that the most important thing that we want to put here is like a nice UI library. Um, yes. So let's get started with ant-d. So you can go to the docs here and see how to basically install it. So I want all of you to go to ant.design, which is what we'll be using here today. And you can do yarn add or npm install ant-d based on whatever you're using. Since I'm using yarn, I'm going to go ahead with that. And we do this to, sorry, just always make sure that you're in the right directory and you want to be inside storefront right now. So yarn add ant-d, and we can see that we're basically installing this package in our application. So how React works is that there is a package.json file which creates these things called dependencies. Now dependencies are the packages that your application will be using. When we do yarn add or when we do npm install, we're adding those dependencies to our application. So by doing yarn add ant-d here, I'll sort of be adding it to our to these packages called node modules. And later when this download is finished, you'll be able to see it in this list right here. So as you can see, node modules is kind of like get ignored and we don't add this to our GitHub repositories. So how does this work? So when you actually pull somebody's repo, you can always see the package.json file and you can see all the dependencies that they're using. So you can then just go ahead, do a yarn install, and you will have all of these packages on your system. Super simple to use that way. So while this is installing, let's see what other things we need to do to make ant-d work. You can, yeah, you can basically, once you have installed this, you can start importing all of their components out of the box. One more thing that we need to do is importing these style sheets. So we can just copy it here and we put it in the index.js file if I have not got it wrong. Okay, let's do this. App.js, yeah, so instead of the app.css, like app.css, we will also have, oh, actually, no. In your index.css, we can just import this file. No, not how it works. Then it is app.js. So first, let's see if this is even working or not. So let's try to have some ant-d component in here. Let's just have a date picker. Cool. Date picker. It does not automatically show itself. It should now. Installation is done. This is what I do not like about Visual Studio Code. Kind of, it can be too slow at times to do the auto imports. Date picker from Andy. Okay, so true time, this is working or is this not working? It's trying to compile. Let's see if it will be able to compile it. Okay, seems like it is able to compile it. So let's look at our code. But here it cannot. Oh, wow, wonderful. So we got our date picker right here. We don't really have to do much with it. We can just directly use the components from Andy. So now that we have Andy in place, what other stuff can we need? Since this is more like a one-page application, we won't need a lot of routing, but still let's go ahead and do that. Let's put React router DOM in here. So this is again really another very useful package without which you can't really start any React Native, any React project. So let us go to the studio code and add this other package that we need. Yarn add React router DOM. Once this is installing, any other library that we might need. Not to my understanding, what do all of you React pros think? It's npx, and yes. So npx works only if you have Node installed on your system. It's basically the improved version of the npm store. All right. So I will share just my Visual Studio Code screen for a while with all of you, since the whole thing can get. Yes. So this is the code that we have so far. What we want is a couple of things in here. So let's make a few pages. Let's make a new folder. Let's call it pages. And let's create this other folder and let's call this components. And inside this components, we need a nav bar. We need something that is going to be our product card. And in the pages, we need our home page. We need our home, and we need a login screen. And since our cart is a drawer, we can have something called a cart drawer.js. Now this is where our design helps us so much. We already have like a quite clear idea of what, how we want our app to be structured. So we can just go ahead and do all of this stuff. Now this div right here, it has a lot of stuff that we don't need. So I'm just going to remove this, and let's just say we can just have filler stuff in here later. So for home, first thing that we really need to do is we need to import React from React itself. Then what we have to do is we have to create this home page, and now we'll be using these functional components since classes have become quite outdated with React. So we do an export const home. So far we can just say that, this is home page. And this. One more thing that we would be needing quite urgently would be your roots.js. This is where we'll be using most of our library. Oh my god, I did it again, didn't I? Yes, I noticed this. All right. So a couple of things that I had done. What I was talking about is the pages that we would need, which would be the home and login screen. Some components that we would need are the card drawer, the nav bar, and the product card. All of this is empty right now. So it's trying to write some code for the home. I'm just leaving like a plain div here. We just said this is the home page. I also created this empty file right now called roots.js. This is where I'll be adding all the roots so that we're able to switch between screens more easily. So let's get to the app.js, and actually let's create our roots. So how we're going to create the roots is basically with the help of React Router DOM. I'm going to copy a basic example code from React Router DOM for all of you to see, and then we will edit that according to our reference. Some important stuff that you need to do is basically the imports. This, and like I said, the most important import is import React from React. Okay, so once you have that in place, we can now start putting in our other roots. So let's just do an const roots. And okay, so how we do this is basically we create this whole router, and this is basically the example that I copied, and now we can just make sure that we're editing it according to our needs. So this is the router that we have. We need a path that is just there. Then we need something for the login. And that would be it. Since we aren't creating the separate screen for the card, we don't really need that. Now here what I'll do is I will like to call my home page basically. So this is the home. Let's also create like a basic dummy for our login right now. And there we go. This is the login screen. All right. So now right here, if I have exported both of these, I will be able to call. Okay. So I don't even need to do this. I can just be like path, component, and home right here. And similarly for login, I do not need these lines of code. Let's see if we can get login. Login is exported. But as usual, Visual Studio Code is not going to help me out, is it? Okay. So we have these two parts, but obviously there's a lot of other stuff that we need to manage when it comes to just putting the login in here, because if the user is logged in, we don't want to display this route right here, and instead we want to redirect it to the main page. But these are the couple of things that we will be figuring it out soon, not right now, but pretty soon. Now what I need to do is let's go to the ant.d components that I have so far with me, and now I'll take you all back to the web browser screen. So let's go back to the web browser that we have. Okay. Router. Yes. So let me share my screen, not this time. All right. So once we come to and design, let's go to the components and check out what components they have. So in the design that we created right here, you can see that we just have like this top navbar thing, right? So we come here and we do this. We can see there's a lot of stuff, and then there is something called layout. So this layout kind of shows some important, like some very common layouts that people use. So the one that we want to use is quite similar to the first three ones, but I'm looking for like a more plain thing. Okay, let's do this. Let's use this very basic thing that they have. And the great thing about this is it has so much of the code already that you don't really need to fret over it. So I can just copy this and I can come back to the navbar. So I'll have to go back to the navbar, which means I have to switch the screen again. All right. Okay. So when we have our navbar with us, okay, let's just copy paste everything straight from there. Again, let's remember to import React, and yes, there we go. This is using some old stuff, so let's bring it to up to date. Export const navbar, and we return this particular layout. Okay, so a couple of things that we don't really need is basically this breadcrumb, and we can center out the content. That is fine. The this we can change to our store, sticker store at 21, created by whatever. All right, so some of the things that we might want to change here are these menu items and the content that gets displayed here. So what we will do is that we will put the routes that we had inside of this nav bar. So I'll show what that would look like, but before that, let's create a list of our menu items, which should be something like this. um, we have cart, and actually, okay, yeah, let's just do this. Cart and menu items can basically just be an array, but I don't have a lot of things in here, so I'll just make a very basic one. Login and root, which would be /login. All right, that is the menu items that we have, and we will be using the link that is provided by React Router DOM. So React Router DOM provides us with link. Where is that? Okay, so something like this, and we basically need to import link. So we do that from React Router DOM. And okay, let's get to the menu items linking. We create this menu item. We basically create this huge ass link to something, and okay, so how does this work? We can just do like, we can do menu items dot map item, and every item would basically return this link to, it would be item dot root, and then inside of the link we would have a menu item, for which the key we could might as well be the root, because we're not really going to repeat those. Once you have the menu item, inside of it we need the title. So there we go. So in this way, even if we like decide to increase the menu items that we have, we just need to add these here and we're good to go. We can remove all of this extra stuff, but so on. We've just been coding and we haven't really been seeing what is happening. So let's do that super soon. All right, so it's time to bring all of this together. Let's go to our home, which is looking fine. So we go to app.js and we call navbar. And inside of the navbar, we call this element that we had, the routes that we created. So the way it should work is basically based on whatever path it is in, it should be able to render the children accordingly. So here we'll pass it the prop and we'll call it the children prop, and we will send it over here to children. One more thing that we need to add is the menu page. So you can just create like this empty thing on home, and root would be this. So we do this here and perfect. So now let's go and see what our app.js is looking like. Right. We have not really defined routes, so let's fix that. It's not here, it's on app.js. Yes. Can we get it by auto import? We can. All right. Now, will all of this actually work is what we have to test. So let's do localhost 3000. So right now, if we try to render it, there are a couple of errors that we will be seeing. So let us try to see what went wrong. In our index.js, for the time being, all right, let's kind of remove the strict mode for now, and yeah, just render the app.js that we have. This might not be important. Okay, so this is what we created, and now let me check if this is working. All right, folks, give me a minute to debug what is going wrong. How's everybody else's progress going? Where are you so far in your stores? Like, where is your code? Where is your store so far? Hmm. All right. The comment section is quite silent right now, which is quite obvious, understanding everybody's busy coding. Or at least I hope that's what's happening, folks. Okay. Let me see. What am I doing wrong? Definitely something is up. Roots, I can put here. Yes. All right. I hope I am using the right code. We're using a router and we're using switch, and that is fine. But what we're using incorrectly is the link that we have. So let us see how to fix that. All right. Okay. So the way we have used our app bar is kind of wrong. So let's just put roots here. And when we are putting our roots, so here we will be calling navbar. Yes, so that no, X control V. So now what will happen is that the children of navbar will change based on what root it is, and that is how we will get the content for navbar. This is how it should theoretically work, and fingers crossed, and I hope that this code starts working now. It still is not really working, so which means there are still errors to the whole thing. Oh my god. Control V. Always remember, sorry, to put our components in here. Oh my god. Okay. All right. Let's, oh my god, I have done the same mistakes everywhere else. Do not have the return statements. Could have just removed the curly braces, but we know there are going to be more things in here, so let's keep that as is. So now we should be getting something. All right. I can. So what I'm able to see so far is basically a glitchy-ish nav bar, but I'm pretty sure we can go ahead and fix that. Um, Okay. Yeah, I understand the window isn't really visible right now. I'm struggling with basically sharing two screens, and I often have to like close my coding screen and then I have to open my browser window. Um, but all right, I can maybe just share my whole desktop. Share screen and my entire screen. So you all can see this. So what we have so far is something is going wrong with the roots here. And what we can see is that it's glitching quite a lot, which is not how it should react. Um, so let's figure out why that is happening. We can see that the menu here is okay. Let's do one thing and let's remove the children from here and let's just try to simply render content so far. So we see that, oh, this did not. Mm, okay, let's close and start this again. There seems to be something wrong with this. Okay, but so far we have a nav bar with this menu and then we have this content. Okay, let us hope that it starts working now. There always, the component libraries always have to go wrong somewhere or the other, and it's just, yeah, it's just the way these things are. So yep, hopefully this will start working better now. All right, meanwhile we can start working on our product card, which is basically the render of all of the products that we will have. So let's make very basic stuff. Product card. And let's again return an empty div, which will be storing our product card. Okay, something is actually going very wrong in here, and let's check out what that is. Okay, very surely, oftentimes this happens is that this link is our biggest problem. So now we're compiling it and we're running it and it works fine. So link always goes inside the menu item. That's what's going wrong in here. So take the children and we rerun it. So if we go to login, this should have technically changed. Let's check what's wrong with login. Oh, we changed this and this isn't changing, which means that the nav bar and the product, the nav bar isn't changing like we expected it to. I expected it to, at least. The console, there is a lot of cleaning here which we can do later on. So let's check our routes that we have. It says for login. Okay, one other thing that you really have to do is that you either put exact over here, which is when it checks exactly from this, or what you do is we put this slash over at the end. So if I don't have this exact here and I have just the slash, it will still start working fine. So what was happening is that because it's like a switch case, and the first route that it found which matched the pattern even for slash login was just the slash. So it thought, why not just go ahead and render it? Yeah, so now we have the home screen, and what we want to do in the home screen is we want to display all of these products. So for the products, let's create like a basic array of all the information that we might need for it. So as we had decided, the product would have a title. Suppose we have this sticker, and then we have the price for it, which is 50. Then we want to say the currency, which in this case we decided to use rupees. And the other thing that we need here is the quantity. So quantity by default always stays 1, so we can actually kind of skip this here and tackle that later in our states. So we have a product here. Let's paste those in here to have like this array, and let's focus on our product card. Now the good thing is that we have something called a card in here. So let's take this and let's search for a card. So these are a couple of designs that are already there. This seems to be working quite good for us, since this has an image, this has a title and some meta content, basically what we need. So we can just copy the code for this and let's paste it here and update it for when we need it. So we need a couple of these imports and we need to sort of return this card that we have. So there we go, we're done with the card. The styling and all is fine. One more feature that we might want to put in our products list would be the image URL. Now, technically, when we have our database set up, this is the URL that we would be getting from the database. But right now, since we don't have it, we need to get it from somewhere. So let's open our images again. Our image, sticker, whatever, like we can just take anything. So since this is the one we're using, it says pre-vector, we copy the image location and I'm going to paste it here so that we have a URL ready. Now what we do first, let's copy paste this everywhere. And there we go. Now for the product card, we will be getting all of this information for product card from its parent. So basically we provided everything through the props that it has. So we can just call it the product. So the src here, the source here is going to change to be product dot. And sorry, we're not using TypeScript, so we kind of have to go ahead and like check for all of this stuff. The image URL and then the title. We are not keeping the description, but we're keeping the price. So here we keep product dot, we have this thing price. So since we also took the currency, what we can do is product dot currency. And we can sort of create this, wait, for rupees we've taken a proper spacing, so you can just join these strings here by product dot price. Yes, so now everything that we have here is kind of coming from the parent. So now what we can do is we can go ahead and home and we can create this sort of map again. Maps are super helpful when you're working with this kind of stuff. Products.map, let's take a product, and when we take a product here, what we need to return is this product card that we created. So product card, and for product, we pass it the product that we have. And that is it. That should basically help us finish this. One very important styling that we want to keep is that we want to put this as a flex so that it automatically puts all these product cards into rows. So let us look at what we have so far. Okay. Yeah. Seems like it's not able to put anything up here. Let's check why that is. It's the inspector, and let's go through this. So what is happening here? The root and the layout, all of this, the content. This is where the main problem exists. Logo is fine. Yes, we have a display flex, but for what happens is that it really is not rendering anything inside this div, which means this piece of code isn't working. So let's investigate why that is. It's the same problem that occurred before. Since I'm directly returning this, I don't need to put these curly braces, in which case I would have to use the return statement. So I can just remove that, and there we go. We can see that, all of these are displayed. Now, one more thing for us to do here is, in the display, we want to justify content with space around, or we can do space between, and we can sort of put like a width to the whole thing, and let's just say that 70 viewport width is, sorry, whenever you're doing styling in oh my god, my screen is not visible. Wow, oh my god, this is really embarrassing. So sorry. All right. Okay, so add to stream. Okay, so a couple of things that we did here that were not really recorded in the stream was basically created this array called products, and we added these products, and this is kind of like the dummy data that we have, the one that is not coming from any database so far. And we create this map where we add these product cards. In the product card, you basically take this product from the parent component, and according to that, we put these details over here. So we don't really have to put, like, this is the place where all the states are coming in. So yeah, just added a couple of stuff here. Now we can see what we have so far by here. So I'm trying to style this better. So let's come back to our home page. The width, let's give the width to be 70 viewport width, and this did not really, it's not really being reflected very well. So let's make this smaller. And okay, let's try to change this. Okay, this seems to be a little bit better. Now what we want to do is we want to kind of center all of our content in here. So we can just do this really cool thing, is that when we're putting the margin, we can just do it auto and auto. It usually works. I'm not sure if it'll work like, but it worked. So it kind of helps you like center this whole thing. And one more super important thing to do here would be to take your nav bar and set the, where do we have it? This. We want to set the height to be sort of like basically the entire screen, but something like 90 VH. So now we have this here. Time to put in some padding and stuff, and yep. So let's put some padding. Padding. All right. Let's put 15 pixels throughout. So a bit of space here and there. Now, the more interesting and important stuff to do here would be to add the buttons and to make sure that your product gets added to the cart. Now, this is also the time when we will bring in some sort of state management. The easier thing to do here would be to use context. So that is what we will begin with. I'm going to open up the documentation for context so that all of us can follow along a little bit better, and even I can like get a better idea of what we're making. So this is what we will use, react.createContext. So we can actually look at one of the examples of how to use this and change the values and assign stuff. So, but before we get into all of that, let's put a button right here. Let's see how the cards of and design have, so they have certain properties that we can make use of. Let's just go to the props that they have here. So in the meta, they have these couple of things. I see this one example that they have where they have this sort of button things. So let's make use of that. And the one that they have is this actions. They call it actions. So we can also create this thing called actions. Cover, and yeah, let's create actions here. All right. So one thing that we can make use of is icons. So we can add the icon for the bag. So let's check out what Andy has for the icons. Bag, card, something. It should have something. No. Okay. So they have this thing called shopping outlined. But to make it work, I'll have to install this other node module called and design icons. So let's do this. Let's go to storefront and do a yarn add of and design icons. So once we do that, we will be able to access this icon that we had here, and we can just put it. So, okay. While this is getting installed, let's take a look at context and how to actually use it. So the first thing that we sort of need to do is start with like create context and then provide it to our application using the provider. So what we're using a context here for is the cart, because we will be adding to cart from say this place, and we want to make sure that it gets changed globally. We still need to do one more thing before we can go there, which will be the cart menu that we had to create, which is basically this sort of drawer. So for anybody who did not get the idea of what we were trying to build there, let me show you what a drawer usually looks like. So let me find it here. They have this thing called the drawer. So a basic example of what this drawer is something like this, basically. So let's take like, there can be multi-level drawers, whatever, like you can do whatever with this, but I want to use like the most basic form of this. So I will copy mostly this drawer code right here, which would become a part of this card drawer. So I do that, and I know I might be going a little bit fast, but I'm trying to finish something so that you all have more stuff to build on top of. So here we return, oh, sorry, again, same mistakes. Obviously, this won't be complete without major imports that we need. Export const cart and this. So these are a couple of properties that are needed. We can decide to place our drawer left or right. Closable basically means whether we should be able to close our drawer by like a cross sign over here. So I'm going to put that to be true. We want it to do that. And a couple of functions on what it should do when it closes, and you know how when to keep it visible. So we will make use of this code that they very conveniently have for us right here. Don't need to do much, just copy it. But we need to understand what's happening. So this piece of line, it basically maintains the state for you for visible, and set visible is the function through which you will be changing the state of visible. So by default, it says use the state and put the value to be false. So by default, we know set visible is false. And this function called show drawer will, so this show drawer will be called when somebody clicks on the cart. So right now, there is no, like, so nobody's really clicking through this very component. So we can kind of remove this. And then on close, we set the visibility to be false again. Now what we will do is, since we will sort of put this cart inside our home page again, since we're making this one page application, so we can get visibility from our props itself. So in the use state, we can just give it, sorry, don't even need to do that. We can just say, take this as the default value, visible. So we do that here, and we can put some of our the contents. So this content that we have will be supplied from our context, which we will be building in a couple of minutes. Very quickly, I will get to that part. Just let me make this cart visible. So on the nav bar, we need something that can open the cart for us. So let's make a button on the header. Mm, we can have a button which sort of says cart. Let's just call it cart. And then we can say on click. Wait, on click, this does not exist so on it. What did we have here? The card drawer. Yes. So similarly, we can do this thing here. Const show card. Okay. So we sort of need all of this to be in the same place. But okay, let's bring the card drawer content also here with us. So let's just here call cart, and visible would be the state that it has. So const visible and set visible is equals to use state and false. So that's what we're giving it by default. It might go ahead and change that value. So we can just like go ahead and give it this instead of it creating its own stuff. So it won't really need this. And we'll just be passing the setter also from the parent so that we can change the visibility, and like, yeah, we won't have to do a lot of stuff from here as well. So we are creating this sort of function. And let's just say that when you show card, let's put set visible to be true. And right here, when we have the button with us, we say on press. What does it have? Let's check. What does the button have? I think it should be on click, but it didn't really give me the. Oh, it gave me the option. Okay. So on click, we say show card. So let's check how this thing looks right now. Card is not defined because yes, we did not import it. Now card is imported, use state is not defined. Okay, anything else? Shopping cart outlined was not defined. Of course, we did not really go ahead and do that. So we do import from add and design icons, and we import this thing, which is the shopping cart outlined. Yes, this should give us what we need. Sorry for keeping this too long, folks. I understand you all have already stuck here for like 1.5 hours. Okay, what are you doing? Okay, so what we're doing here is we're trying to create the side hustle store. What I'm doing is I'm trying to build like the basic structure of it on React, and then we can fill in more functionality by adding in like the checkout process and payment services and all of those things. So trying to run our code by, okay, let's go back. So right here, we basically got our home page with all our products listed. And here we were trying to create this icon so that we can add these products efficiently to our cart. And I was trying to add this drawer, which opens up when you click on a button. So we can see that we have that right here. Now, all I need to do is I need to put this cart button next to some of our menus right here. So let's try to fix the position of the whole thing. So let me try to just put it inside the menu. It's not like a very good way of doing it, but since we're short of time, we're hacking our way through this, so why not do that? Okay, So now we can see a basic cart that we have, and we have all of these buttons in place, which means now is our time to create the context that we need. So let's go to the main, the first app.js that we have, and let's create our context over here. So context is basically an object which stores the state for all of the child components. So if you have your provider as like the root of if you have it basically at the root of your application, it will be, so all the values of the context will be available to all of the children of the root, which means that if I create a context here at app, so let's do that. Okay, so let's go ahead with this. What do we call it? Cart context. And let's do a react dot create context, and we basically need to provide it some default values. So currently when your card is empty, it'll just be an empty array. So for our convenience right here, currently our card will only store like the products. So we'll talk in a minute about what that means. So now let's take this very example that's there. Oh, and the C is capital in the. We do cart context or provider, which sort of provides these values to. So in this way, we're able to take a context and we'll give the provider to all the children of this root, which means all of our components here will be able to access this cart context. All right. So we want to provide some value to it, but currently let's just say, so here also we should have done this. It will be a better practice. That is products, and we basically give it like an empty array. One more thing that you could do along with this is we could be using the local storage and making sure that our state persists even when you're basically closing your browser window, doing things like that. There are various other ways of handling state management, but right now we've kind of chosen like a very easy way to get going with it. So now let's try to see what, how we can access the value provided by this provider, which is when the consumer comes in, right? All right, so let's take an example. Where do we need this? First, we need to provide, so whenever somebody clicks on this action, we need to do something. And how we're going to access the function that gets implemented when we click on this shopping cart outlined can be checked right here. Let's go back to our cart page and see what we will do. So we take, so okay, this was the example that we were using, and yes, all right. So we want to make sure that, the right thing gets implemented. And how does AND-D let us do that? Let's check the actions. Action list, it gets showed at the bottom, but what does it do? Okay, so since it basically is just displayed here and we can choose what it does, let's check if it has a property called on click. It does. So let's just make sure that this is working. Trying to add to cart, and in the meanwhile, sorry, let's just call this add to cart. Okay, so making a function here called const add to cart. Yes. All right, so let's just test that this works by doing and adding to cart. Okay, so we go back here. React is not defined. In what file? app.js. Seems like we missed an import somewhere. Yes, we missed a very important import right here. Import React from React. Right. So this is what we have so far. Let's check, let's open the inspect element and see where this goes. When we click here, it doesn't really show. Oh, it says adding to cart, which means it's working, but we also have a couple of errors. These are mostly related to providing the key prop, which is quite important, which means we took a map and we forgot to provide it a unique value there, which would be this. So we just need to give it like a unique key. So we can just take the key to be product. What can the key be? Right now, all of them are same, but this is something you should make sure that you do. Right now, I'm going to skip this because it still kind of does work. But it's not a good practice to leave this be, so do not do that ever. All right, so let's like look at a better example of context consumer in React. Since my memory is also a little bit rusty, so it's always helps to like go through a tutorial when you can't remember something. All right, so we can do this thing called use context, which is basically another hook that we have that lets you basically access the context values, but need to see how we can provide it with the context name. Just a second. All right. So like you can see, this is like a very common way of doing this, like the theme context. All right. So let's come back. We want to use it over here. And let's just say const cart is equals to use context. And the context that we're going to use here is basically our, so let's make this another folder called cart context.js, and in our app.js we basically created it. So let's cut it from there. And okay, did not create the file well. Okay, new file, create, no, context.js. Perfect. All right, so this is what we have. We do import react from react, and we basically export this. It's very simple, one line thing. Now this is something that we'll have to import. So we say cart context, and it basically imports this for us. In the product card, when we're using this, again, we give it this. So let's just see what this prints for us. So it should sort of just print like an empty array of products so far. Okay, sorry. Yes, this is what we have, and let's run an inspect element on it. Okay, so as you can see, the context tells us that we have an empty products array. Now what we need to do is we need to sort of set the value of this context and update the cart that we have. So let's look into updating this value. Okay, so what we can do, it's actually a very quick, fun way of doing this, is we create this context. So we just say, just a second. Why am I forgetting how to update context? Does anybody remember how we update context values? Refresh my memory, folks, here. Anybody who would like to come up here and remind me how to edit this context values? Anybody here who's a bit of a pro at React? A little more than me. Okay, in case nobody's volunteering, let's actually like Google the hell out of it. All right. Let's read a couple of more articles and see how we can get this done. So we create the provider, we've initialized it, we've done all those things. We're not using a consumer right now. And they haven't told us how to update the context. Update React context. So yes, they are using the hooks like we are. And okay, so what they have done is they have, okay, created a language context, while they have also put a set products, or like a basically a set language thing. So we can do something of that sort as well. Let's do that. Like, nothing stopping us from doing it. So let's say set products is this sort of empty function. All right. So once we are done with this, let's go back to our, so this is the set products that we have so far, and let's see how we can sort of still update this. Okay. So technically this should work for us, but let's see. Products, set products. All right. Now when we add to cart and we provide it with the current product, let's also create a current state. So we have product, current, no, sorry. uh, this product, we have it right here. So we can, what we can just do is set products, and we do products dot append product, which is the current product that we have, and then we just set products to be our new products array. And this might also not happen, so let's do new products is equals to dot products slash, sorry, what am I doing? Okay, this is products, and new products dot append the product. This should technically work, but we still have not done a couple of things. So let's see how this is going so far for us. All right, let's go back to our React app. And I assume one more thing that we need to do is, okay, all right. The React app that we have, and okay, we have to find new products for it, and okay, let us hope, folks, that this works. All right, we have a ton of errors that we need to fix. Yes, append is not a function. Obviously, I am very confused between so many languages right now. Okay. Set products is not a function according to it. So let's try to understand what's going on here. When we did the set products here, we made it a function. Just to cross check, just to cross check with what people are doing on the internet. Yes, like this is what is the way of creating a function. What we messed up is when we were when we were doing this. So let's just fix this up. Here we can say that const products set products is equals to use state and this. All right, so when we have products here, we give it products, and set products becomes this set function that we have. And this is how we sort of initialize the values to begin with, and then this should now allow our child components to be able to add products to the card. Um, let's reset this whole thing so that, okay. So now if I click right here, so my array has basically all these three functions, which is probably the case because our click isn't configured in a better way and our state is getting updated constantly. So now what we need to do is we need to provide some sort of checks to make sure that our cart is not actually reading stuff that basically is not adding stuff to it that already exists, and other things of that sort. So let's go to our side cart and start making some changes to it so that we can actually see our products up there. Uh, Going to our card drawer, and okay, so one very other cool component that we could be making use of right here is the table. And oh my god, this has run a little too long. I am so sorry, everybody, and thank you so much for sticking around. So many of you, it's really been amazing to like do this on, sorry, live stream with all of you. So we can just maybe take one of these tables that we have here and use these in basically use these in our code. So let me do the honors of copying this code and pasting some of it right here inside the drawer. That is where we want to be doing our change. Sorry, let's first put it individually here. Then let's copy our imports, put them all in one line. All right, and we have these so far with us. Now these are the columns that we tell the table that, like, this is all the stuff that you need. So let's edit these according to our needs. We need the name, definitely. We need the quantity, and we call this quantity. The key is quantity. We do not need the address. We just need like a similar thing, which will be the price. Price and price. So we don't really need these tags or any of the actions. Let's keep it like super simple for our use case. So now what we can do is we can just like take this table, and this should be us. All right, so now one more thing that we got to do is give it the data. So again, we can get our data from our context. So let's get our list of products, and let's get the set products. We can actually just get the products right now because we don't need to set anything. Use context, and we call the cart context in here. So this will give us the list of all the products, and our data source can then become products. So whenever the context changes here, the data source changes and we get products. Let's just quickly make sure that we have all these things in products. So when we have a product card, now these are some things that would become a lot simpler if you were using TypeScript. But since right now we're just going ahead with using JavaScript, we sort of have to go back and forth and check things out. So to keep this table super simple here, since we did not put like quantity in there, so let's just keep it to be name and price right now. And yes, we can delete this and delete that. All right, so far we can go and see what we were able to create. We did not have something called name, but we had title. So we might want to change that. The data index means the data index is actually the key that it will try to find the value in. So if we give this like an array, so this is something what the array would look like. It would be an array of objects which would have title and then some title, and then the data index, other data index that is trying to find here is price. So we give it price and blah blah blah. So the data source that we have here is kind of, it gets formed from this. So this is how the component then knows what sort of table it needs. So when we do that, we go to the cart and we see that we have this basic thing over here. We can make a few changes, which can say your cart, and we can see the style and the width here. So let's just put it like 30% of the screen. Okay, so we actually need to update the whole things with. So let's check what. It's actually always very important to go back to documentation whenever you're working with like any component library, because they have a lot of props to do the whole thing. So the width, I could actually set it here to be, I think 30 looked decent. So we can go to 30 and we can see that our cart here gets created. So I click on add to cart and I check my cart here. Wait. So add to cart. This is not working at the moment. But I think we have like a decent idea of how to get this working. Let me try to like one last time try to figure out why that did not work. Oh my god. Okay. So yep, very noob mistake that I made right there. All right. So right now, because we are just refreshing and not really closing our browser window, our cart doesn't really get. Oh, it did get empty. Wow. So I click here. I go to the cart. It's not updating. Let's check our inspect element and see what's happening. So here when we add to cart, it's actually showing all of these things, but our cart is not reflecting on those changes, which means that it's not getting its value again and again, which means it's just entering it once and it's not updating the value. So these are some sort of problems that you can run in with React, especially when we're directly making use of states. So it's kind of important to see here what's going wrong with. So this value is just getting it here. So if I check the console cart products, it'll actually give me an empty array because this gets loaded in the very beginning, which is when your cart is empty. Oh, my cart products are also like a 2-length array. Then something is going wrong with the display of this whole thing. Let's check our table once again. We have a data index of title, which it's getting, and then we have the price. All of this is right so far. This is quite a conundrum. What is happening here? That is not working properly. And it was a couple of minutes ago. But since we know that our context is working perfectly fine right now, like you can see that the array gets updated as we click on this cart button. So yeah, we kind of know we're going in the right direction. I hope that all of you will basically build on top of this. A couple of other things that I thought we could do, but I understand like 2 hours is too little to build like a whole e-commerce store from scratch. A couple of things but to keep in mind that you can go ahead and do further for this is get actual data from say Firestore, because you won't really have to set up a server in that case. So you can go ahead and put up Firebase in here. If you want to keep the whole thing serverless, you can add functions, Firebase functions, to make the whole thing work via just using Firebase functions. You will basically be able to add content to your Firestore without having to again set up a server or going through any of that. And the third thing that you can do, which is very important, is that you can set up Stripe and you can make sure that there is like a checkout where there is a proper way to send you money. Using Stripe integration is sort of not that hard. and you can basically integrate all of those things further. So I hope that you all learned something from the session. This is quite a hard challenge to begin with, no doubt, especially when we say we won't use Shopify or WooCommerce. So after that, please do remember to upload the projects that you make on the dev post link that was shared on Discord. Um, it's called marchchallenges.devpost.com. So we really want to see what you built in this challenge, and I had so much fun doing this with all of you. Thank you so much for staying on for this really long stream. You all have been like a really nice audience. Can't emphasize on that enough. Thank you so much for showing up here, and hope you all have a good day ahead. Bye bye.